This is super interesting. Yesterday, the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelenskyy, spoke to the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. And as I said earlier, made a number of requests for equipment. And we've already talked about how Joe Biden is sending some additional equipment to Ukraine, but at least for the time being, not getting involved in creating or enforcing a no-fly zone. And one of the fascinating things to see has been the right-wing media tear itself apart about how they're supposed to react to this. And it's there's sort of two sides to this. And both want to criticize Joe Biden. Just understand that they all want to slam Biden, but they're at odds as to why. It's sort of like the flat earthers, where we've said before, all of the flat earthers agree the earth is flat. But often the defenses they give conflict with each other. So one story that some in the right-wing media are telling is Biden's bad because he's not giving Zelenskyy what he wants. Zelensky's asking for all this stuff. We should be sending it to Zelenskyy. Biden's not giving Zelenskyy everything he wants. So Biden is a disaster for that reason. OK, another story from other members in the right wing media is Russia and Putin really aren't that bad. Ukraine's bad, and we really shouldn't be helping them very much. So Biden's bad because he has sent military assistance to Ukraine. That's a conflict, right? They both say Biden's bad. One says Biden's bad for not giving Ukraine enough stuff. The other says Biden's bad for giving stuff to Ukraine. And it was made front and center last night on Fox News. Sean Hannity invoked Ronald Reagan in his monologue to support sending more to Ukraine than what Biden has sent. Laura Ingraham invoked Reagan in her monologue to say we should not be sending stuff to Ukraine. It's fascinating. Look at this. Take a look at this clip from last night.
Bad actors. We should learn the lessons from Reagan. Give Zelenskyy what he's asking for, the weapons that they need so they can battle back against Russia, the Ukrainian people.
Reagan won the Cold War by rebuilding our economy and growing our military, which took a few years after the devastation we faced under Carter. The same pattern will have to play out here. Now, as the Angle has said from the beginning, the situation in Ukraine is a horrific tragedy. It breaks all of our hearts. But we have to be prudent and we have to be thoughtful in our response. And right now, the U.S. is simply in no good position to engage in another protracted military struggle. We need time to repair our economy, reform our military, and get political leadership that actually works, is good, is smart. Whatever happens, we cannot repeat the same mistakes we made after 9/11.
So that's just fascinating. Hannity says the lesson from Reagan is we've got to arm them. And Laura Ingraham says the lesson from Reagan is we shouldn't arm them. And of course, it all is in service of their overarching narrative, which is Biden's bad. They agree Biden's bad, but for different reasons. And Laura Ingraham spent most of last night pushing back on sending equipment to Ukraine. And of course, it's a legitimate position to take that we shouldn't send stuff to Ukraine. Reasonable people can disagree about that. Perfectly fine conversation to have. For them, it's all in service to attacking Biden. Here's Laura Ingraham pushing back on the fighter jets debate to attack Joe Biden.
To be where President Zelenskyy urged him to be today, which is leading the world in helping Ukraine fight for their own freedom.
Well, Biden can't lead the United States, Senator Cotton, with all due respect. I mean, when I hear President Biden being told you need to lead the world, first of all, with all due respect to, President Zelenskyy is obviously incredibly heroic. He's fighting for his country as he should. But we have a president who's, as I said in the Angle, essentially a hologram. He is not an active president defending our interests here, let alone the president of the world. So, I mean, I think going down that road is kind of ridiculous at this point.
So there's Laura Ingraham and one more Laura Ingraham clip here. She says, isn't all of this that we're sending to Ukraine just going to give them false hope and they're just going to lose anyway?
In many cases. I mean, just look today, they announced the transfer of $800 million of weapons to Ukraine. That's welcome. should have been done a month ago or 2 months ago, and it's still just a fraction of what Congress proposed last week. Look, the Ukrainian people and army have proven that they are capable of fighting the Russians. We need to encourage them to do so, and we need to provide them the weapons that they need to fight the Russians.
Now, you don't think we're giving the Ukrainians at this point and the rest of the world false hope? You think, given the fact that Russia is closing in on Ukraine at this moment, you heard the air raid sirens outside of Lviv.
Okay, so you get it. Aren't we just giving them false hope by giving them stuff? And then lastly, here's Laura Ingraham reacting to Mitt Romney saying, send them what they are asking for.
People are dying. Send them the planes that they need. They want MiGs. Get them the MiGs.
Why don't you pay for them? Now, did he ever stop to think that more people could die if we send Ukraine MiGs?
So it's actually going to be worse if we send stuff. Now, again, there is a legitimate conversation about to what degree should the United States be involved here, either individually or as part of NATO. That is a fair debate. But it is fascinating to see number one objective is Biden bad. That's the primary goal here. Some right wingers justifying it in one way, other right wingers justifying it in a way that directly conflicts. But Biden definitely is bad. That they're very sure of. One of our sponsors is Splendid Spoon. Now, if you're like me, I love planning my meals out for the week, but sometimes I just run out of time to plan them for every single day. And Splendid Spoon makes that whole process a lot easier. They deliver fresh, delicious, plant-based meals right to your door, ready to eat. No cooking, no cleaning dishes. Saves you a lot of time. You can choose from over 50 hot and cold meal options. There's smoothies, grain and noodle bowls, soups. I'm a big soup guy. Many of you know that. I also really liked the vegan meatballs with marinara noodles. Delicious. Both I and Splendid Spoon believe eating more plant-based is a great tool for feeling good, for helping the environment. The list goes on. I'm not vegan. You all know that, I think. But Splendid Spoon is really great to just help me maximize the proportion of plants in my diet. Splendid Spoon takes all of the work out of tasty, healthy, plant-based meals. And you'll save $35 when you go to splendidspoon.com/Pacman. The link is down below.